Hi, I'm Mari Fong, producer and host for Check Your Head, Mental Health for Musicians podcast. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you like us, please follow us on social media at Check Your Head Podcast and visit us at checkyourheadpodcast.com, where you'll find over 100 mental health resources that will assist you in your mental health recovery. You rock, and we
Well,
love
first
you.
of all, congratulations on the She EP. I really love the fact
Yeah.
that it's kind of based on, being strong as a woman and
Yeah.
also quite a few other messages in your lyrics and within your songs. And you do speak out on mental health, which I really appreciate both in your interviews and your lyrics. But I was wondering, can you tell me when or at what age you first realized the importance of mental health?
I think for me, I've always been like a very sensitive person. Like even as a kid, I was like hypersensitive. I think I had my first panic attack when I was 12. So, I think I realized pretty early like how fragile we are as human beings, and like how important it is to, you know, um, find like a balance and find peace within yourself. And but I still haven't found that missing piece really. But I've been trying my best, and I've come like so far. Um, so yeah, I kind of like realized pretty early on that it was important.
Well, at 12 years old, that's, a lot of musicians that come across mood disorders like panic attacks. It usually does start like in the early teens, even in elementary
Yeah.
school. Can you describe what it was like when you first experienced a panic attack at 12 years old?
Well, for me, I didn't know what was happening. I was super scared. I thought I was about to die. I couldn't breathe. I thought I was gonna lose my mind. So I had no idea, and I was so scared. And then it happened like again, and I told my parents about it, and they were like, "Okay, this is if we think you're having like a panic attack, you're not dying. It's normal. You will get through this." And then it was like a couple years when it was better, and then it kind of came back. As I went through like other stuff in my life, but I think for me, like the worst time for my panic attacks and like my anxiety was like a couple years ago, and I had it like I woke up like every day feeling like I couldn't breathe. Like I basically like woke up with a panic attack, and then I couldn't even go to like the grocery store. I couldn't do anything.
So you were kind of maybe a little bit agoraphobic too, right? Because you were staying at home and you weren't going out as much because of the panic attacks.
Yeah, like I felt for me, it was like a time in my life when, whenever I was trying to like, it just became that thing where I was like, I can't even go to the grocery store because I feel like the ground beneath my feet is like shaking. It felt like I was on a ferry, like constantly, like on a boat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, and that's pretty scary because it gets so like, real. It's like when you don't really see like the difference between reality and what's in your mind. And you think you're like losing your mind. It's so scary. It becomes like the body and mind is like so connected.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. It is scary and confusing when you're going through these behaviors and these thoughts that you don't even understand, right? You might even feel like, gosh, this is not even my personality. Why am I thinking these thoughts? But they come, right? What were some of the thoughts that you were thinking of that didn't even make sense to you, that kind of scared you?
Oh, so many thoughts. I think the worst part was that I felt like like, is there an earthquake going on, or is it, actually, is the ground like shaking beneath my feet? Why do I feel like the ground is constantly like moving? And just like not being able to like trust yourself. Like, why can I not breathe? Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, constantly having that fear of like, oh, but maybe this time it's something serious. Like, oh, but this time could be different. Like, what if I'm actually like having a heart attack this time because I feel like that pain in my chest, or it's just like I feel like you're just losing trust in yourself, and
Yeah, because
that's so scary.
right, it's something,
Um,
and it would come out of nowhere. Did it seem like it came out of
yeah,
nowhere, or was there like certain triggers that would, that would kind of spiral you into this panic attack?
it's different things. Some things for me are triggering because I have specific trauma, um, that can be triggering for me, but it could also just come out of the blue, like. That's how your brain works. It's so like your brain is smart and is constantly finding new things to like, oh, let's find this thing, she's having a good time. Let's just make her suffocate on this beautiful dinner. Put some clouds in her over her head. No, but I don't know. It's just it's a lot of different things, but it could basically just come out of the blue. Also, I noticed there can be like a big difference in my mental health, that's connected to my cycle, to my menstrual cycle. So I'm so sensitive when I have like PMS, or like when I'm during my period, I get super sensitive, like even more like fragile, and because all of the hormones are already messing with your head. So
Yeah, that was actually something that I'm really sensitive to. And I've fallen into depression and anxiety because of my hormonal shifts. And, it took
um,
me a while to realize that, but it's amazing how much hormones can affect, you know,
yeah,
you in general. And,
yeah,
but it's tough, right? Because it's something that you really can't control so much, but it does, happen. And then all of a
yeah.
sudden you're like, my gosh, why am I reacting so strongly to this one comment, right?
Yeah, it's scary. And like, it took me so long also to like realize how, because I started to like track my worst anxiety days, and I saw how they were like, I was like, oh, there's a pattern here, and I'm still like that, whenever I'm having like PMS, or when, during my period, or like the days after, I get so sensitive and I feel like I have shortness of breath, and that triggers things, then I feel like, damn, like, am I falling back into this depression hole again? Or like, what is going on? And then I'm like, okay, but let's just relax and see. And then I feel better.
Right. You start to reassure yourself instead of going
Yeah.
down like the bad road of, of thoughts. But, there are like PMS, premenstrual symptoms. People are familiar with it. But there are different times in life where there's big hormonal shifts. For men and women, there's, puberty. That's
Mm,
a big one. There's also menopause that comes later in life. And then after you have a baby, there's like the post
yeah.
baby blues that can happen. So it's this sort of a, ever changing, uh, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all of these hormones that kind of work together, but sometimes
Mm,
can work against you.
yeah. Yeah, they can. And it's so like, because we don't really talk about that enough, because there's not enough, research like on women's health in general. Of course not. But so it's hard because when there's not enough research, we won't ever find that help that we need, because there's no like not really a cure for it really. So yeah, it's like a bad spiral. But I'm hoping to see more science around it, and because there's so much that we can do, so much work left to do for women's health.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like, if there's a correlation between emotions and your hormones, for men and women, that it really should be looked at, because, there can be things done as long as science supports it and focuses on it. One thing you mentioned that I thought was really interesting is that you were sort of tracking your symptoms and tracking, how you feel throughout your day or throughout the month. What is it that you do there?
Yeah, I just started like seeing like a pattern, like in my cycle. So I started to see that I'm getting like these days. I think it's something with the hormones that's totally changing that makes me feel like I can't breathe. And if I know that prehand, like, okay, these days I'm going to have trouble breathing, then I don't have to get panic attacks or like get as scared as I used to, because I used to be really scared. Because like that's like a big trigger for me to not feel like I can't get enough air. And if I know that beforehand, I can kind of learn to just be like, okay, these days maybe I shouldn't plan something big.
Well, that's actually really smart. It's like you're journaling how you feel throughout the month according to your cycle. And, to see a trend, then at least you can prepare yourself, right?
Yeah.
One thing you said was a few years ago, you had sort of like more severe anxiety and panic attacks. Was there anyone there at the time that you relied on, that to help you, or who was that, and what was going on there?
Yeah, I mean, I still have like times when I'm going in like a bad, I feel like for me it's something that's there, but it's so much better. But I used to like rely a lot on my boyfriend was there for me like the entire time. He was so supportive, and he wasn't judging me or anything. He was just there for me and my family and my friends. Like I would call my dad as soon as I had like a really bad anxiety attack, and my mom all the time, like just to hear her voice would calm me down a lot. So I have like a really great support from my family and friends and people around me. So, but my boyfriend had to take a lot of, I think maybe I should go to the hospital because I think I'm having a heart attack, And he's like, well, maybe we should just chill a little bit. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure. And then you start Googling, and, that's not something you should do. But yeah. And then it's like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely having a heart attack. And I didn't, of course. Yeah, I'm also a hypochondriac. So, it's kind of funny, like, but it's so, yeah, it's hard because it's like, you get so limited, like when you're not even able like to socialize with people, because I couldn't barely like move from the couch to like the kitchen without feeling like the floor was, like a fairy underneath my feet. So I was constantly like having shortness of breath and getting so dizzy and had to like lay down. And
how long, if you go into a panic attack, how long does it normally last?
during that time, it was like going like every day almost. I had it for a time, but now it depends. It can be like
you know what? Can you say that?
Sometimes
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you say that one more time, because it stopped for a while. Like the Wi-Fi got cut off, but yeah.
Yeah, like during that time, it could go on for like hours, and I could have them like every day. I could wake up with a panic attack, and it could go on for hours. And but now, like when I get them, like it can be, honestly, it can be like a short one, or like, just that I'm able to like control, like for my breath technique, and like doing like, trying to calm myself down and like break it before it hits hard. So that could be like maybe 20 minutes, or it could be something that I can't control, and I can wake up with a panic attack, and that feeling can go on for like maybe 2 hours.
Oh, wow. That's a
And
long time.
yeah. Yeah.
I haven't had a panic attack, but I know a lot of musicians do. We've had quite a few musicians that come on the podcast talking about them. And, some of them even say that they get disconnected from reality. They could see themselves, on stage kind of as a separate person, all kinds of different things that happen. But, it really does sound terrifying. And, throughout the years, I'm sure you've thought of ways on your own, and also maybe have asked a professional, what do I do in these situations? What have you learned that has worked best for you to kind of help control the anxiety and the panic attacks?
For me, I think it's being like one thing that helped me is that I saw like the pattern like in my cycle, and that I can prepare myself for the days when I know that I'm gonna feel low. And also just being, I've been doing, like, I know people hate to hear this, but actually to like do yoga and meditation. I know that's one of the things you don't want to hear when you're going through something super hard. It's like, oh, go for a run, that's not something you want to hear. But actually getting those endorphins and the serotonin in your brain to kick off a little bit, it's gonna help you a lot. So yoga and like meditation has helped me a lot. And then you kind of learn to like breathe better, and like take deep breaths through just doing a lot of those kinds of breath techniques that you do in yoga. So it helped me. And also having like a good therapist, of course, go to therapy, and keep telling myself that.
Well, it is important to have a good therapist. And you're talking about breathing techniques, which sounds really simple, but I've heard so much about how your breathing can really help slow down, everything in your body. And, that's what you need to do, right? When you're panicking. Is that where you learned how to do these breathing techniques with a therapist, or how did that come about?
No, that was through meditation and yoga. So I learned that while doing yoga. There's a lot of breath techniques. Like yoga is basically like just reconnecting to your mind and to your soul, and like kind of finding that connection that I think kind of it gets disconnected when you're having a panic attack, or like when you're experiencing like a lot of anxiety and like re-experiencing like traumas and stuff. You get disconnected from yourself, so you kind of just find that connection and like that love for yourself again. In yoga, I know it sounds but for me it worked. I'm not gonna say it's maybe won't help everyone who tries it, but for me it helped. So
no, I think it's important to share what really works for you, because sometimes natural things and ways to slow down our physical body and our mental, our thoughts, is going to help combat that. Now, when you talked about therapy, what have you found most beneficial with therapy?
I still need to go properly to therapy. Actually, like I'm still putting that thing on my to-do list in the drawer. But I really actually I want to try. I don't know if you heard about EMDR therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanna try that. Have you tried that? Right.
I've not tried that, but I've heard that it works for some people. I have a good friend of mine who does that EMDR and has had good success with it. And sometimes therapies like that doesn't sound like it would work, but you got to try anything and everything, right? When you're in the middle of something that, can be really terrifying, because you never know which one is really going to click for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I told myself so many times, like, oh, you need to really go to, like, I tried several people though, and I never really think that I found the right person. And that can also be hard because you keep on telling them things and you open up and it's hard. Like, it's so important to find, like, a good therapist.
Yeah, it takes time to find one that has a personality that you feel you could trust, and also somebody that you feel is going to, give you the skills or even the listening ability to give you the right advice, for your condition. You have a song, it's called The Light. And that one I've read, it's about being on the bottom and fighting your way back. Can you tell me about a time that kind of represents that whole thought?
Yeah, I mean, it's been several times in my life when I felt like I almost wanted to give up because I couldn't see the light. I just felt like everything was just working against me, and even me, I was working against myself. And when you're feeling like so trapped in those dark thoughts with like all your demons, it's so hard to like find the way back. So yeah, but I think I wrote that song also just like as a reminder that there is like a way back, and I'm in such a so much better place than I was. Right now I'm still like I still have things that I need to work on and that I need to like deal with and that I haven't dealt with yet. So there's still like, but there's always like that in life, you're just always like trying to finding a way to like become your full self and find your full potential. But my mental health is like in a completely different place right now. So.
Well, you wrote the song She, which is sort of like an empowering song about being a woman and speaking your mind and all that. What is it? How would you explain that? I mean, as part of the chapter that you're in right now with your life.
I mean, yeah, like she's like that unpolished side of yourself that just doesn't give a fuck. So, and I feel like I'm becoming more and more confident as a woman. Like when I'm looking at myself when I was younger, I wasn't able to speak my mind as much. I was always trying to be like a people pleaser, and now I'm trying to like, it's still hard to be that person sometimes, but I'm trying to be okay with making people uncomfortable, and especially men when you have to like, and like just not be quiet when I hear people talk about things that I don't know how to put it, but like when when you enter a room and there's a conversation going, there's like a specific vibe, and I'm not afraid to be that person who makes them uncomfortable anymore. I used to be just quiet and be like, oh, I shouldn't say anything. But now I'm like, what the fuck,
That's really good. Can you think of an example of that? Like a recent example of when you've done something like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to call people out. No, but like, yeah, definitely. Like, even, when you're at a meeting or whatever, like, or yeah, like, definitely when I was younger and I experienced, like, I was, the young girl that they thought that they could, like, shape into, like, a specific frame, and I was more, I was like, yeah, this is, because also, like, as a musician, like, when you're so young and you're, like, a young girl, like, there will always be, like, wolves trying to get you, and always these, like, older men in the business who have, like, a specific, like, there's, we sexualize young women, like, and I think they saw, like, an opportunity to, like, trying to shape me into something that I didn't want to be. And yeah, like, whenever I see something similar, like, in different scenarios now, like, I'm like, right, I know what I want and I know what I don't want to do, and like, I'm in control over my own sexuality and what I want to do and who I want to be. So,
That's really good. I know that it does take time and experience to kind of get that strength and bravery, especially when you're starting in an industry where you don't know what the rules are, or, you're confused by them. And then pretty soon you realize, well, I guess I could make my own rules for my own career, right?
yeah.
So that must be a good feeling.
Yeah.
You talk a lot about love and relationships in your song. You have a song, for instance, you have Lonely Hearts Club, you have so many, Nobody Loves Me, all these different songs that speak about relationships. What have you learned about love from your past experiences?
Yeah, like, well, I mean, I had some really bad experiences. So I think, like, when you're, for example, like, if you're seeing someone that doesn't prioritize you and someone who is very manipulative. Do you say manipulative? Yeah, sorry, it's Swedish. Sometimes my Swedish brain is like, yeah, but I think, like, I really learned what I deserve, because there's been so many times in my life when I would just, I was just living by their rules, and I wasn't even thinking about myself. I was just, trying to please them and trying to fit under frame. And yeah, so I think I learned how to prioritize my own needs, and it was important for me to, like, find that love for myself before I found my person. And right now, I'm in a super healthy relationship with, that's, like, the love of my life.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so good to hear.
Yeah. So, yeah, and he's been with me through a lot of tough times, and he's not gonna leave. I hope. No.
Well, just to be general about it, because it's so important to have really good people in your life.
Yeah.
Not only to support and encourage you and to be honest with you, but also, especially during this pandemic, we had to just stay with our core set of people, and we've had so much more time to ourselves, right? what is it about your relationship now that you really appreciate that makes it healthy and loving?
Honesty, so important, and to have like a conversation about everything, because it's okay. Like, we're two completely different persons, and we have different baggage, we have different experiences, you know. But I think it's so important to just have a conversation and like being able to like actually speak your mind and having arguments and being like respectful towards each other and being like, okay, you know, you think like this because you come from this, and I think like this, and it's okay, and we can meet somewhere in the middle. And to just, yeah, it's like a very loving and respectful, like, we are who we are, and we're not trying to like change each other. We're just trying to be two people who live side by side, but like, we're different. But that's what's beautiful.
Right. It sounds like you have a real respect for each other,
Yeah.
and that you feel, I could sense you have the freedom to be who you truly are without
Yeah.
having to hide certain parts of you. And I think that's
Exactly.
the great thing is, like, if you're in a relationship with someone who truly accepts all the things that you like about yourself and the things, of course, that you don't like about yourself, you know, that really is acceptance.
That is acceptance, because I've been with people who who tried to like change me and tried to, who made me feel like that there was parts of me that wasn't worth to love, you know? And when you go through those kinds of experiences, you're kind of starting to like questioning yourself, and you think that, okay, this is what I deserve, you know? But then it's not fair, you know? You just gotta find someone who loves all parts of you, you know?
Right, right. And you know, you dropped a new song called Old Insecurities. And I think we all have old insecurities that we sometimes carry into our adulthood, maybe something that was said when we were a child, and it still like bothers us. Is there anything that you could think of an old insecurity that you still carry from way back when?
From way back when, yeah, I mean, for me, I think there's a lot of different aspects of that. Like, I think one thing for me is that I'm kind of like scared that people will leave me, or that I'm like not good enough, or that I'm, you know, that I'm too much, or maybe I'm too little. You know, there's so many different things, like, and not only from when you were young, but like just, yeah, like old relationships or things that you've been through that can be like, still, I can't really think about like a specific thing from my childhood. So, do you have something?
uh, well, actually, I was really shy when I was growing up, like super shy. Like I would walk home with my friends and not say one word. And
Oh,
yeah. So it was really hard for me to break out of that. But I do, you know, find like my shyness will come out in different ways where on the outside it seems like I'm very social, I'm very comfortable, and people say, "Oh wow, you know, you can go and talk with all these different people." But on the inside, I could be really nervous. And
yeah.
you know, I was kind of wondering about that with you because I think when people first see you, they can get an impression of you. But then your idea of yourself is probably different from what people see when they first meet you. What is the difference between what people see on the outside versus how you see yourself on the inside?
Oh, there's always so much, you know, you only see like the little top of the mountain always with people. It's so interesting. But yeah, I'm also definitely, uh, I was a very shy child as well. I, I think like when people see me, maybe if they don't know me, they will think that I don't know, that I don't have like that. I don't know actually. That's hard. I don't know what people think about me. I'm trying to not think about that too much because I think so many things about me already. So I'm trying to not think about that. But I don't know. Maybe they think that I'm not as funny or loving or something. I can look. Sometimes I can be like a little shy or not. Maybe won't be the person who's like smiling all the time, or or taking up that much space in a room. So maybe if they speak to me, they will get a different impression that I'm like more warm or funnier. I hope.
Well, like I see you in your music videos, and of course, you're all sort of put together, and you are natural beauty. First of all, it doesn't look like you really need much makeup
Oh,
at all. But when you go and have your music videos, you seem very confident. You're talented, and people don't see the insecurities and the anxieties that we might have on the inside.
yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. People probably think that I'm a lot harder, than I am. I'm not a hard person at all. I'm pretty much just like a weirdo. So.
Well, we talked about the pandemic, and we're slowly going to be returning back to life. What is something that you're going to miss about the pandemic, about that time?
Oh, time. Time to like, yeah, I think we all will like appreciate just taking breaks from things because I think it was so important for everybody to like kind of reset and, just being able to take that time with your family. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to because I went to Sweden for a couple months and I spent 2 months with my mom and dad in their house. And that's something that I don't know when I can do that again. Now when things are starting to like open up. So yeah, that's something that I will definitely take with me, and like how important it is to just take that time, even for yourself, to reflect and take a break. And yeah, I think it's important. What about you?
I agree with you. I feel like, I know that there were so many changes that were happening in 2020, um, politically, personally, so many changes, right? Musicians
Yeah,
having to cancel tours and not knowing when they could go back and do live shows. Uh, but I do really appreciate just the time uh, at home because I'm not that kind of person that really stays at home, but just doing things like playing cards,
I
playing
know,
a game of
right?
ping pong and cooking. And these are things that are simple pleasures that we miss
Yeah.
because the outside world um, distracts us with so many different
Mm,
things that we lose the foundation of what really can make us happy. So, those are things that I hope to continue, even
yeah.
after life opens up.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I'm just putting our phones, you know, on the like just I'm so tired of staring into the phone all the time. I'm getting tired of myself because I'm addicted. I'm so addicted.
Well,
And I
that
see all everyone else, I guess.
well, that's a good thing to bring up actually, because social media is addictive, and sometimes we can rely on it. But on the other hand, it could also be kind of dangerous to our mental health.
Oh yeah, you see all these perfect people online and you don't, oh, it's so dangerous. I'm just thinking like it's so sad. Like like just people like in the younger generation, like all these young people looking at social media and like growing up with those kind of standards of beauty. It's sad because they're gonna think that that's like reality, and it's not. You know,
Yeah.
like all these filters, like you can just now people like think that you're putting on all these Instagram filters and it makes you look a specific way, and then they think that that's how they're supposed to look like.
Yeah,
It's kind of sad.
it is because it's not reality, but it's easy to think that it is because we see it so much every day and we don't think about
Yeah.
all of the filtering that we do every time we post something. And we always usually try to post our best selves, but there's like so much of our life that really is confusing or messy or
Yeah.
difficult, and that's the part that a lot of people try to kind of hide. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm super thankful for you that you've spoken out on your mental health and panic attacks and anxieties, because it's so important for people to know and to understand. Is there anything else that you would like to say about mental health or about your career as an artist?
Mm, no, it's all a journey. So, you know, I think that just for anyone who's going through something super hard in their life, I think it's important to just hear that you deserve, and you will find that light again, and just hold on, and hopefully they will find some kind of peace in my music. You know, I don't know what's gonna happen in my life. It's a journey. So I'm still like, it's such a good, like, for me it's been so beautiful and so healing to create art, and making something out of all that pain and all the beautiful things too, of course. But yeah.
Right. And you're right. It is very healing to hear really honest words. And because those are the words that really connect with your fans, right? And have them understand that they're not alone, and also that there's hope, right? For recovery,
Yes,
and, there's a better life out there.
there is.
Well, thank you so much, Winona. I really appreciate you speaking with me today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing this. It's important, and you're doing something very beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. And you are a check your head superhero. Just remember, you are a superhero every day.
I will remember.
Hi, I'm Fong, producer and host for Check Your Head, Mental Health for Musicians podcast. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you like us, please follow us on social media at Check Your Head Podcast, and visit us at checkyourheadpodcast.com, where you'll find over 100 mental health resources that will assist you in your mental health recovery. You rock, and we love you.